Every ancient map lies. Not all of them, not most of them, but one ancient map, drawn in 1638, showed something that no ancient map ever showed again. An ancient palace, not just any ancient palace, the largest ancient palace ever built in that part of the ancient world, an ancient structure so enormous it took 40 years to complete, an ancient building so magnificent that ancient kings travelled for months just to stand at its ancient gates. And then it disappeared. Not from the ancient earth, not from ancient history, from every single ancient map ever made after 1709. I have spent 3 years trying to find out why. Today, I am going to tell you everything I discovered about this ancient palace, and I promise you, the answer is far stranger than you could ever imagine. Let me take you back to the ancient year of 1598. Deep in the heart of ancient Central Asia, in an ancient region that most history books barely mention, an ancient ruler named Shah Abbas I made a decision that would change everything. Shah Abbas ruled the ancient Safavid Persian Empire, an ancient empire that stretched from modern Iran across ancient Afghanistan and into parts of ancient Iraq and Armenia. At its peak, this ancient empire was one of the most powerful forces on earth. But Shah Abbas wanted more than ancient power. He wanted to build something in the ancient world that would outlast him, something that would outlast his ancient dynasty, something that would outlast the very ancient empire he had built. So he ordered the construction of an ancient palace, unlike anything the ancient world had ever seen. The ancient location he chose was not a capital ancient city. It was in a remote ancient valley, hidden from the outside world by ancient mountains on 3 sides. Ancient Persian craftsmen were brought in from across the empire. Ancient architects were summoned from the Ottoman Empire and from ancient China. Ancient materials were transported across ancient deserts and ancient mountains for years. Ancient gold leaf was applied to the ancient ceilings. Ancient hand-painted tiles covered every ancient wall. Ancient Persian gardens were designed with ancient fountains that ran with fresh water, a miracle in that dry ancient landscape. By all ancient accounts, it was extraordinary, and for exactly 111 years, this ancient palace stood in silence, hidden from the ancient world, until the day everything changed. The ancient palace complex covered an area larger than 50 ancient football fields. It contained over 300 ancient rooms. There were ancient private chambers for the Shah and his ancient family, ancient grand reception halls for visiting ancient dignitaries, ancient libraries filled with thousands of ancient manuscripts, ancient laboratories where ancient scholars conducted ancient experiments. The ancient central hall, known as the Ancient Hall of 1,000 Reflections, was lined entirely with ancient mirrors brought from Venice. When ancient candles were lit inside, ancient witnesses said the ancient room appeared to contain an entire ancient universe within its ancient walls. But what made this ancient palace truly extraordinary was what happened inside its ancient walls. Shah Abbas used this ancient place not just as an ancient residence, but as an ancient center of learning. Ancient scholars from across the ancient known world were invited here. Ancient astronomers who had mapped the ancient stars. Ancient mathematicians who were developing new ways of thinking about ancient numbers. Ancient philosophers who questioned everything. According to one ancient manuscript discovered in Istanbul in 1987, the ancient palace library contained over 80,000 ancient books. At a time when the largest ancient libraries in Europe held fewer than 10,000. Think about that for a moment. 80,000 ancient books. In an ancient palace that most of the ancient world did not even know existed. For over a century, this ancient palace was one of the greatest ancient centers of human knowledge on earth. Ancient kings sent their sons here to be educated. Ancient merchants paid fortunes to gain access to its ancient libraries. Ancient diplomats from China, India, and Europe all wrote ancient accounts of its magnificence. And yet, today, you will not find this ancient palace mentioned in a single major history textbook. You will not find its ancient name on any official archaeological map. Why? The ancient year is 1709. Shah Abbas had been dead for over 80 years. His ancient successors had maintained the ancient palace, but they had also kept it secret. Very few ancient people outside the ancient royal court knew exactly where this ancient palace was located. And then, an Afghan military commander named Mir Wais Hotak launched an ancient uprising. Within months, the ancient Safavid Empire began to collapse. What happened next is where ancient history becomes complicated. According to 3 separate ancient Persian manuscripts, all written within 20 years of the ancient events, the ancient royal court made a decision that was almost incomprehensible. They decided to erase this ancient palace from the ancient record. Not destroy it, not abandon it, erase it. Every official ancient map that showed its location was collected and destroyed. Every ancient document that mentioned its name was either burned or rewritten with the ancient name removed. Ancient officials who knew its location were sworn to absolute secrecy. The ancient palace contained something that the ancient royal court could not allow to fall into enemy hands. The ancient manuscripts do not say exactly what that something was. One ancient document describes it as knowledge that could reshape ancient kingdoms. Another ancient manuscript refers to it as the one thing that no ancient conqueror must ever find. In 2003, a team of ancient archaeologists from the University of Tehran was conducting a survey of a remote ancient valley in northwestern Iran. Beneath decades of accumulated ancient soil and ancient vegetation, they discovered ancient foundations. Enormous ancient foundations. Ancient foundations that extended for nearly a kilometer in every direction. The ancient-led archaeologist, Dr. Farideh Mostafavi, immediately recognized what she was looking at. She had read those ancient Persian manuscripts. She had spent years searching for this ancient palace, and she had found the ancient ruins. Buried beneath the ancient central hall, exactly where the ancient manuscripts said it would be, Dr. Mostafavi's ancient team discovered an ancient sealed chamber. The ancient chamber had not been opened in over 300 years. Inside the ancient chamber, they found ancient manuscripts, thousands of them, carefully wrapped in ancient oilskin, stacked from ancient floor to ancient ceiling. They also found ancient instruments, ancient scientific instruments of extraordinary complexity, ancient astronomical tools, ancient mathematical calculating devices, ancient optical instruments made from ancient ground glass. Dr. Mostafavi's ancient team published a preliminary ancient report. Within 6 months, the ancient report was quietly withdrawn. The Iranian government classified the entire ancient excavation. The ancient valley was fenced off, and Dr. Mostafavi, who had spent her career searching for this ancient palace, was asked to stop talking about what she had found in the ancient ruins. She has never spoken publicly about the ancient discovery since. Here is what I want you to think about. Every ancient map is a choice. Someone decides what gets included in the ancient record. Someone decides what gets left out of ancient history. For over 300 years, someone decided that this ancient palace did not exist. They were almost right, but ancient history has a way of refusing to disappear completely. An ancient scholar finds an ancient manuscript. An ancient archaeologist notices unusual patterns in ancient soil. A researcher connects 3 ancient documents that were never meant to be connected, and slowly, the ancient erased becomes visible again. Now I want to hear from you. What do you think was hidden in that ancient sealed chamber? Leave your answer in the comments. Some of you may know more about this ancient mystery than I do. And if you want to know about the ancient palace where time literally stopped, where everything was left exactly as it was on a single ancient day in 1743, that ancient story is coming next. Subscribe, and I will see you there.